Hi, my name is Bella McMinn, and I'm the social media manager here at The Rock Church. I'm so glad you've connected with us today and wanted to welcome you to our online service. In addition to our weekly service, you can engage with us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I would love to hear from you on social media or by email. You can email me at bella@therocknv.church. Thank you again for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the service.
everybody. Welcome to Mother's Day at the Rock Church. I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody has at least said hi to their mom and mom figures today. We're going to continue on the day with some worship. Here we go.
Have you ever seen the wonder in the glimmer of her sight? As the eyes begin to open and the blindness meets the light. If you have so say, I see the world in light, I see the world in wonder, I see the world in life, bursting in living color. I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light. Have you ever seen the wonder in the air of second light? Have you come out of the waters with the old one left behind? If you have so say, I see the world in light, I see the world in wonder, I see the world in light, bursting in living color. I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light. I see the world in grace, I see the world in gospel, I see the world your way, and I'm walking in the light. I'm walking in the wonder. You're the wonder in the world. face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. The Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. And amen, 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 amen. The Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face toward you and give you peace. Amen, amen,
May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children.
May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children. May his favor be upon you and 1,000 generations, and your family and your children and their children and their children. May his presence go before you and behind you and beside you, all around you and within you. He is with you, he is with you, in the morning, in the evening, in your coming and your going, all the weeping and rejoicing. He is for you, 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 he is for you.
You guys, thanks again for being here with us today. Before you have a seat, turn around and say good rock morning to someone around you.
Good morning and happy Mother's Day. My name is Bella, and I wanted to take a moment to give it up for all of the moms in the room. Yes, we appreciate you all so much and are so happy to have you here as a part of the Rock Church. Here at the Rock, we don't pass an offering plate. We believe that giving is a personal reflection of God's generosity to us, and we encourage you to consider giving back out of gratitude. We have a couple ways to give. You can give at the offering boxes or the giving kiosk located in the lobby, or you can give online. As our way to give back to the community, 10% of your giving goes straight back to 2 local organizations. Currently, there are our friends at Kindred Church and Project 150. Just this weekend, a couple of our staff members went to Project 150 to help high schoolers in need fill bags of clothes, food, shoes, skincare products, water bottles, backpacks, and everything else one might need in high school. And we are so thankful for the opportunity to help Project 150 and be a support to our community. So how many of you guys like free food? Yeah. I should see all of you raising your hand right now. I mean, it doesn't get much better than free food. Well, to everyone who did raise their hand or cheer or clap, whatever it was, I want to invite you to our Rock Brunch on May 28th. Isn't that your birthday? It was his idea to have the brunch that day. Anyways, we'll be having a barbecue in honor of Memorial Day, or at least that's what you said it was for. So get ready for some burgers and hot dogs. You can sign up, Oh, and cake. Yeah, you can sign up for our next brunch online. Pastor Grant and Lindsay will be sharing with us today, but before they do, the music team has one more song for us. While we love celebrating moms, we know that today can be filled with many different emotions for different people. We hope this song brings you some encouragement no matter where you find yourself today. Feel free to stay seated and take it in.
I've seen love coming, I've seen love walk away. So many questions, will anybody stay? It's been a hard year, so many nights and tears, all of the darkness, trying to fight my fears. Alone, so long, alone. I don't know who I'd be if I didn't know you. I'd probably fall off the edge. I don't know where I'd go if you ever let go. So keep me held in your hands. I've started breathing, the weight is lifted. Here with you it's easy, my head is finally clear. There's nothing missing when you are by my side. I took the long road, but now I realize I'm home with you. I'm home. I don't know who I'd be if I didn't know you. I'd probably fall off the edge. I don't know You're my safe place, my hideaway. You're my anchor, my saving grace. You're my constant, my steadiness. You're my shelter, my oxygen. I don't know who I'd be if I didn't know you. Thank God I do. I don't know who I'd be if I didn't know you. I'd probably fall off the edge. I don't know where I'd go if you ever let go. So keep me held in your hands. I don't know who I'd be if I didn't know you. Thank God I do.
Wow. Thank you, band. Thank you, ladies, for singing that song for us. We appreciate that. Would you give them another hand as they head off stage? Good morning. How are y'all doing today? As you can see, I am not up here alone. Today I have the pleasure of sharing the stage with Lindsay, who I've had the good fortune of being married to for 10 and a half years now.
Yep.
Yeah, give her a warm welcome as she's up here.
Thank you.
Hey, babe.
Hi, babe.
Happy
Pastor Babe.
Pastor Babe. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
And a day early, happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
I've got my work cut out for me this weekend.
I know, every year they're so close to each other. Thanks, guys. It's great to be here. I'm excited to share a little bit of my heart. Get to be here on Mother's Day. What a treat. So thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, we are really glad that you're here. We're here together to talk a little bit about Mother's Day and what it means to celebrate the different ways motherhood presents itself. We're also going to be introducing a ministry partnership that is very near and dear to our hearts.
Right.
But before we get too far into that, I think it would be great for everyone here to get to know you a little bit more. You all have heard from me a good bit in the last half of a year, but I'm not even the best part of this relationship. You all are going to love getting to know Lindsay, and you're going to enjoy hearing what she has to say today. So first off, tell us a little bit about your story.
All right. Well, I guess a good place to start is that I've pretty much grown up in the church. I was a pastor's kid in Kentucky growing up, and then a missionary kid in Moscow, Russia for about 6 years. I graduated high school from a tiny little Christian school in Moscow, and then moved back to Alabama, of all places, and I got a degree in graphic design from a small Christian university there. Then I met this guy when I moved out to California a few years later, and after we got married, we moved to Stockholm, Sweden, and worked at a church there as missionaries for a few years. Mm-hmm. That's where our son Oliver was born. And you know, we loved Stockholm. I thought we would be there for a really long time, but things happened and it brought us back to the States. And you know, we ended up in Reno, Nevada, of all places, which I used to call Nevada. I can barely even say it now. So don't worry, I've changed my ways. We've been here 5 years now, so I know how to say it properly, Nevada. But yeah, so Nevada. So now I proudly wear the title of pastor's wife, which was never really a title I thought I'd have or really even wanted, but it's an honor. It honestly is an honor, and to be Grant's wife is such an amazing thing. I just love him to death, and to be at this church, to be at the Rock, to be at this welcoming, loving church, part of this congregation, is a true honor. So thanks for having us here. We love it.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I am glad that I'm your husband as well.
Oh, thanks.
Now let's go back a little bit, though. I want to hear from your perspective how we connected and what life has been like since we've been together.
Sure. Well, we met in Whittier, California, both working at a large church there. If I remember correctly, I had just returned from a missions trip to Malawi, Africa, and I was in the lunchroom, the break room at church, kind of sharing a little bit of my time on the missions trip. And I just randomly said something like, "Oh, this thing on the missions trip reminded me of Siberia," because when I was growing up in Russia, my family would go out to Siberia and do Christian camps in the summertime. We worked with Romani people, with the Gypsy people. And just mentioning Siberia, Grant walked in the room and kind of perked up, and he said, "I've been to Siberia." And honestly, it sounds ridiculous, but he had me at Siberia because for somebody to understand that part of me, that crazy side of me, was a really, really big deal to me. I needed somebody who got that crazy in me, and Grant gets it. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I remember it too. I mean, not the crazy, that you're crazy part.
Thank
not
you.
That.
Yeah. I told him he had to say that.
But it's so true. Like, I understood your crazy, you understood my crazy, and we just worked and hit it off, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
We really connected over something that most people wouldn't understand, and it was really cool to have that in common.
Yeah, and I think we're a pretty great team.
I think so too. I think that about pretty much covers it, right?
That's most of it.
Yeah, in a nutshell. Why don't we get into the first part of our talk today, though? So over the past few years, we've had many conversations about what it means to be a mother or to not be a mother on Mother's Day.
Right.
Some of that had to do with us working in churches and figuring out how we as a staff could honor moms without excluding some of the incredible women in our lives who just happen to not have kids. What perspectives do you view Mother's Day from personally?
Yeah, when I was thinking about that question, it occurred to me that it seems like since I've been a mom, this day has hit me a little bit differently every year. And so even going back before, I've been the daughter celebrating her mom, but for many years. But my mom lives in Alabama. She lives far away, and there were years when my mom was in Russia and I was in the States, and so there just haven't been many years where I've been able to celebrate with her.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's kind of a sad day. But I've also been that just found out I was pregnant mom, and it was a super exciting day where we get to share that with people. I've also been the daughter whose mom was battling cancer, and honestly, I wasn't sure if I was going to get to be with her on the next Mother's Day.
Yeah.
I've been that mom, that woman, holding another negative pregnancy test and thinking for sure it was going to be positive this time and that we were going to be able to announce that we were pregnant and all the excitement that comes with it. But instead of an exciting day, it was a day of mourning, and I know that a lot of people feel that. So,
yeah.
And then I've definitely been the new exhausted mom who's just lacking sleep, lacking a shower, all the things that I should have been getting, but I'm so in love with this little tiny baby and also equally terrified of bringing this child into such a scary world. So lots of mixtures of emotion. And then these past, 2 years,
Yeah.
I've been a foster mom,
Yeah.
which just brings all kinds of new things too. We had one little girl, then a second little girl, then we had 2 little sweet boys, which confirmed that I am a boy mom, a little bit more than a girl mom. And then we have, then another little girl.
Yeah.
I'm losing track. And then most recently, a newborn baby boy that we are in the process of adopting. And Ollie would not want me to forget, I'm also a dog mom to Luna, our golden doodle.
That's
and
right.
She is a big part of our family, so
She is.
got to include her.
Those of you dog and cat moms or those of you who have fur babies, or if you have a snake, maybe a scale
There you go,
baby,
Kate.
we see you and we affirm you today. Happy Mother's Day to all of you as well.
Happy Mother's Day.
you've experienced many different emotions and feelings almost every Mother's Day in the last 10 years.
Right.
I know you've always been careful and caring in your interactions with different women we've known throughout the years. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Yeah, 100%. I believe that moms deserve to be celebrated on this day. And not just on this day. I actually think moms need to be celebrated every day because it's hard work.
Every day is Mother's Day.
That's right. But I also just know so many amazing women that, gosh, have loved and supported me through the years and may not be a mom, may not have biological children, but they've done so much for me and for so many other people. So I just think we don't want to forget them either. We want to be able to hold space for all these great women.
Yeah, that's completely right. We've had many women in our lives who just didn't happen to have children, but despite that, they were 100% deserve to be honored on a day like this.
Yeah.
These women have taken care of us personally in different ways. They've prayed for us, welcomed us into their homes, even living in their homes for a period of time, given us advice, and been faithful friends. For many different reasons, they have happened to not have biological children, but they've stepped into that mother's role, like you said, throughout their entire lives. For some of them, today is just another Sunday and they enjoy it like every other day. For others, a day like today can be filled with pain and longing. Some of you here today may feel like that. We see you and we honor those feelings. And if you're up for it, you can come after the service and get a hug. I'm always open for that.
Me too.
We love you all. And whatever it is that you are feeling and going through this day, we celebrate you and we honor you in this service and just as a community. So happy Mother's Day to all of you as well.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I just have a lot of friends who are struggling with infertility, and so definitely thinking about them today. Mm-hmm. And something too with our first foster daughter, her father was a single dad, and the mom wasn't really in the picture at all. And so for Mother's Day, we got him a Mother's Day card just because he was working hard and he was really doing both jobs, And so I think it was important to honor him on the day too. Yeah,
when we decided to do that, we were like, this could go either way, 50-50. Sure. He could be offended by this or maybe he could be excited by this. And when we gave that to him, at first I was unsure where he was going to go. But he read it, and I think he understood the heart behind that. And I don't think he had ever had anyone in his life acknowledge that he was doing both roles at the same time. And that can be very tough for any single parent out there. Yeah. A part of what makes this day difficult today for some people is I think that historically, the church in some ways has done a bit of a disservice by elevating motherhood to be the only virtue allowed in order to live as a godly woman. For example, in the Bible, there are 1,500 named people. There are a lot of different people in the Bible who aren't named, but there are 1,500 who have names written out in the Bible. Some of these names are just in a list, maybe in a genealogy, and we don't know much about them. Others of them, though, are more prominent. They have a bit more of a role to play. You could kind of say that maybe they're the lead characters in the biblical story. In addition to the lead characters, you also have some supporting cast characters who get a couple of lines here or there, but we don't know too much about them. Out of these 1,500 people, only 200 of them are women. And many of these women are in that supporting cast section. In fact, some of them are only named in relationship as a mother to some special man that actually we've completely forgotten about anyways. Now, I don't know if that's exactly what God was intending when the Bible was being recorded and put together. What I do know is that it's pretty clear in the Bible that God cares about women and has made them active participants in his story and plan for humankind, even if they do end up taking a back seat in the written biblical account. Rachel Held Evans points out that as a Christian, my highest calling is not motherhood. My highest calling is to follow Christ. And following Christ is something a woman can do whether she is married or single, rich or poor, sick or healthy, childless or has a dozen kids. Another thing that I think about a lot is that even the way that we talk about God, sometimes intentionally, and if we're really honest with ourselves, in some ways unintentionally, but sometimes intentionally also, puts women in a second position to men. How can we be better in this community in how we elevate the women around us? Is it possible for us to change our vocabulary in how we speak about God? Recently, I heard somebody pray, and I did a double take when I heard some of their phrasing. Now, I'm used to hearing the phrase Father God in prayers. Have you guys know that one? In fact, I found that sometimes there are some people who use that as a little bit of a filler word in their prayers, kind of like the way that I say or Once my brother and I kept track, and we heard somebody say Father God 30 times in a 5-minute prayer. Now, it's true that Jesus tells us to pray to our Father in heaven. So I've come to the point where I don't fault anyone who defaults to that phrase. Another common phrase in prayers is Heavenly Father, which is also a good phrase. The words, though, that I heard recently sounded very similar to that, and it threw me off for a second. They began their prayer by saying, Motherly Father, Fatherly Mother. That blew my mind. I loved that. I know we usually refer to God as Father. In fact, Jesus did it and did it often. Father is a relational word that gives a certain personhood to the Almighty, if you will. That word informed Jesus' followers and us about our relationship with God. He instructed us to call out to God, Abba, Father. Abba is an Aramaic word that we could translate into our modern English as dad or daddy. It's an intimate name intended by Jesus in this situation to show that God views us as beloved children and heirs. In a way, that word Abba humanized God and cleared a path for a renewed personal relationship between God and humans. But when it comes down to it, God is simply not a man. God isn't sitting up in the sky with his white Gandalf beard flowing in the breeze, is he? God is God. God transcends anything we know about humanness and what we understand to be gender. God is a lot bigger than we can even imagine. God is all of it and none of it, all at the same time. Even though the Bible does refer to God in masculine ways, it also paints a picture of God in the same way we paint femininity.
It's a hard one.
Womanhood. That wasn't intentional. But the way that we paint feminine qualities or womanhood, and even more specifically, motherhood. At the very beginning, God says in Genesis 1, now let us conceive or birth a new creation, humanity, made in our image, fashioned according to our likeness. In Isaiah 66:13, the Eternal One refers to themselves as a mother who soothes their child, so I will comfort you. Jesus himself uses the image of motherhood to refer to his love for the people of Israel in Matthew 23. I have longed to gather your children the way a hen gathers her chicks under her wings. Maybe this Mother's Day, we can begin to see the incredible worth of womanhood. Guys, fellas, you men out there, maybe we should take on more motherly traits, or I should probably say more godly traits. You and I, let's become more motherly/godly. All right, I'm going to step off my theological soapbox now for a moment, and let's get back into where we were going and what we were talking about. We were about to share about this exciting ministry opportunity that we've been a part of for some time now.
Right. Well, first off, isn't this guy great? I just love how he elevates women. He has empowered and advocated for me. I mean, I'm up here on stage. That's pretty big. But I'm so fortunate to get to do life with him. So wanted to start there. But yes, Grant, thank you for stepping off of your soapbox so I could kind of step onto mine, I guess. We're going to share some stuff that's really important to us personally. Something that kind of makes my mama bear come out a little bit. So brace yourself. Let me just put out the facts. Did you know that in Washoe County, there's anywhere between 720 and 780 children in foster care at any given time right now? And that's just in Washoe County.
Wow.
Did you know that every available bed in Washoe County is filled right now? There's not hardly any beds available for these children when they go into foster care. These trained and licensed families, they don't have any more space in their homes to welcome these children in their greatest time of need. Kids Cottage, you may have heard of. It's an emergency shelter for children. They can hold about 80 children, and right now they're overflowing. I think they've got more than 80 children in there right now. I think from an 18-month-old who just entered to a 17-year-old and everyone in between. Wow. So honestly, we have a crisis in Washoe County. It's a real crisis, and what makes my mama bear come out a little bit is it's a preventable crisis. I believe without a shadow of a doubt that we as Christians are called and mandated to take care of these children. The psalmist calls God the Father to the fatherless. James asserts that true religion is about taking care of orphans and widows. My life verse since I was in high school has been Isaiah 1:17. Learn to do right, seek justice, encourage the oppressed, defend the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. I love this verse because it's action, right? These are action verbs. We've got to learn, which is one of the reasons we're all here today, so thanks for joining us. But we can seek justice, we encourage, we defend. And you know what? This is all ongoing work. This isn't a one-time learning thing. We are ongoing learning about the issues. And I think, yes, this work is tough. Yes, it's sad and it's frustrating, but every child in foster care, every child in the system is a child of God, a child that God sees and cares about. So it just makes sense that we do too, that we should too.
Yeah.
So God and I, yes, he's here too. Grant and I are up here today to introduce you to an amazing ministry called Foster the City. And we are thrilled for you to learn more about it because this is a movement that's happening here, and we really want to bring the Rock into it to be a part of it.
Yeah. We've seen firsthand the incredible need for foster families, and we're convinced that God is moving in our community, preparing hearts to take care of some of the most vulnerable people in our society. Lindsay and I have been volunteers with Foster the City for over a year now, and you've probably seen me wear their logo on my hat or on a shirt. I think I've got about 4 or 5 different shirts with their logo on it. Today, we are excited to introduce this ministry formally to all of you here at The Rock. You know, the Christian church has been at the forefront of taking care of children from the very beginning. During the 1st and 2nd centuries, in the Roman Empire, there was a practice in which parents who couldn't or didn't want to take care of and raise their child would abandon them outside the city walls. Most of these children would die of exposure to the elements, although some would be claimed and raised as slaves. The good news is that early church stepped up in many of these situations and became known for bringing in abandoned children into their homes, caring for them in the same way as they would care for one of their own biological family members. Christians would literally walk outside around their cities, outside the city walls, listening for the cries of abandoned children in order to take them in and raise them as beloved sons and daughters. Could we be a community of churches that are known for doing this as well, for bringing in these children into our homes? More recently, in the United States, a man named Charles Loring Brace, who is a congregational minister and the founder of the Children's Aid Society, became known as the father of the modern foster care movement. I like to call him the great-great-great-great-granddaddy, foster granddaddy. His work paved the way for modern foster care system that we know today. The church is called and has been at the forefront for caring for children in need, and we have an opportunity to be a part of that movement. We don't need to walk around the outsides of our city looking for children to take in. We don't need to start our own societies. It's right here in front of us. Washoe County Human Services has a list of children ready to be placed within loving homes today.
Yeah, Foster the City grew from one family's personal experience in foster care to become a coalition of churches committed to providing a loving home for every child in foster care. Foster the City partners with over 220 churches in California and northern Nevada, and that number is just going to keep growing. The vision of Foster the City is to see every church raise up at least one foster family in their congregation, and then to wrap that family with support friends so that they feel loved and supported and want to continue being a foster family. We're working toward a day when the list of children waiting for a placement, for a place to live, is replaced with a list of families waiting to share their home. There are 20 churches in Reno and Sparks right now who are currently partnering with Foster the City, and there's about 20 more churches who are launching soon or in the works. This movement is so important. It's so needed, and I'm just really excited that The Rock has accepted this challenge to get involved with Foster the City. I truly feel like we are doing what Isaiah 1:17 says. We're defending the cause of the fatherless. So thank you, congregation. Thank you to the leaders of the church for taking this seriously.
Your favorite verse is in Isaiah. One of my favorite verses is also in Isaiah in chapter 61. And the prophet says, "The Spirit of the Lord, the Eternal, is on me. The Lord has appointed me for a special purpose. He has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to repair broken hearts and to declare to those who are held captive and bound in prison, be free from your imprisonment. He has sent me to announce the year of Jubilee, the season of the Eternal's favor." Here's a couple more verses throughout the Bible that say similar things. The prophet Micah reminds us what the Lord requires from us: to live justly and to love kindness and to walk with your God in all humility. Deuteronomy is a collection of laws and guidelines and teachings in which Moses shares and explains the law to the people. He tells them that God enforces his justice for the powerless, such as orphans and widows. He loves the foreigners, making sure that they have food and clothing. That's Deuteronomy 10:18. And by the way, Moses himself was a child who experienced displacement and adoption. Do you remember that from Sunday school? He was found by Pharaoh's daughter and raised in her household as a member of the royal family. We know from Scripture that he wasn't just simply abandoned because his biological mother didn't want him. She put him into a basket river raft in order to save his life. And she probably did that through tears. Every parent that we've come in contact with in this process deeply loves their children. They sometimes just get into situations that they can't or won't get out of, resulting in their separation from their children. Back to what Moses taught about, though. Later on in Deuteronomy, he gives more clarity to that thought. He says, "Do not deprive the foreigner or the fatherless of justice. Or take the cloak of the widow as a pledge. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and the Lord your God redeemed you from there. That is why I command you to do this. When you are harvesting in your field and you overlook a sheaf, do not go back to get it. Leave it for the foreigner, the fatherless, and the widow, so that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands. Jesus himself uses Moses' teaching from Deuteronomy when he was asked what the greatest commandment is. He quotes Deuteronomy 6 when he answers, "Love the Lord your God with all of your heart and with all of your soul and with all of your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself." Luke writes in his letter that we call the book of Acts that all the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. This is the same early church that heard the call and opened their homes to the children that they had never met before. This action and other similar actions of mercy like the ones that Luke mentions here made them famous throughout the Roman Empire. The Roman Caesar Julian the Apostate, who was a pagan Caesar who hated the Christians and sought to destroy their movement, he even conceded that they support not only their poor, but ours as well. All men see that our people lack aid from us. Remember those Christians who would walk around and bring in children to their homes? He hated them for doing this. He felt like their act of compassion toward the most vulnerable members of their society was an affront to his own leadership.
Yeah, one of my dreams is that the present church, the church with the big C, the global church, would be known for opening their own homes in the same way as the early church did. In Washoe County, there are approximately 215 evangelical churches, and each church in Washoe County, if each church in Washoe County had one foster family and a team of support friends making sure that they felt supported to surround them, there'd be more than enough homes ready for these children.
Yeah.
And specifically the Rock, our church, one of the ways our church specifically could serve is through taking placements of LGBTQ plus youth. This is a population that's very vulnerable in the foster care community. And since we are one of the few affirming churches in town, we have a really unique opportunity to care for and welcome a child from this community without judgment, accepting them as they are. So I guess that's kind of my challenge for us today.
Yeah. We've been talking about our third core value recently here at The Rock, collectively growing. Last week, I drew from a few authors who talk about spiritual transformation and the practice of disciplines. One of the authors I quoted, Robert Mulholland, emphasizes that collectively growing isn't just for ourselves in these church walls. It's for God's glory and for the good of the world that we exist in. He says that corporate spirituality will wither on the vine if it does not reach out into the world. A corporate spirituality that insulates and protects us from the world is close to death. We could grow and grow and grow, but if we only do it for our own good and not for the love of others, it's like how Paul describes in 1 Corinthians 13. What if I speak in the most elegant languages of people or in the exotic languages of the heavenly messengers, but I live without love? Well then, anything I say is like the clanging of brass or a crashing cymbal. Some of you out there listening right now are social workers working right here in Washoe County. You've seen the hurt and the pain and sometimes the hopelessness these kids feel, or the feelings of being unlovable that sometimes come from the trauma of foster care. Just last week, one of our little girls was having a meltdown, and she vocalized that nobody loves me. And my heart just broke. Little girl, arise. You are loved. You are a beloved daughter, not just my foster daughter, not just beloved by your parents who are trying so hard to get you back. You are a beloved daughter of the Most High God, and there's nothing that can take that away from you. You social workers know what I'm talking about, don't you? You've heard the call and have answered it by serving these little ones. So thank you. I know there are some of you out there who have opened your homes, maybe currently or maybe in the past, to take in someone to love them in the way that Christ calls us to love them. And I see that, and I thank you as well for that. I hope that we can become a church that is known for that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, like we've said, what if instead of children waiting for a safe place, there were families with safe places waiting with open arms to show them the love of Christ?
Yeah.
What if instead of burning out, foster families knew that they had a group of people surrounding them who were there for them, just a phone call away to pick up and say, yes, we've got a meal for you coming, or, oh, you need a babysitter, or you need to take a kid to school. These support friends are so important to the success of foster families. One of the reasons why there are so few families willing and able to foster is that it's hard. It's hard work, for sure. In the almost 2 years that our family is fostered, we've had a lot of ups and downs. Bringing in a new person is going to be disruptive, for sure. It took months of navigating new schedules and doctor visits and visitations with family to really start feeling a sense of normalcy. We asked a lot of questions. What foods do the children like? What toys make them feel at home and safe? What clothes do they wear? How do you convince a 3-year-old that 11 o'clock is not a good time to go to bed? Just lots of things like that. The Brookings Institute stated that more than 50% of foster families quit within the first year of fostering. Many of these families expressed that they didn't feel supported, they didn't feel seen, they didn't feel loved throughout this process, and so they experienced burnout, and after a year, they're done. This is where Foster the City really shines. Not everyone is called to be a foster parent, foster family. We understand that completely. And that's okay. But Foster the City has developed a way to build these support teams that we're mentioning around a foster family, helping them to succeed and not just become another statistic. We as a church have chosen to partner with Foster the City and become a part of the coalition of churches committed to doing something about the foster crisis in our own backyard. So as you leave today, make sure that you stop by the Foster the City table in our lobby. We're going to be there. We can answer some questions. The amazing Kate Schmidt will be there too. And we would just love to chat with you a little bit more.
That's right. On Wednesday, May 24th, we're going to be hosting an interest meeting right here on campus about the different ways you can get involved with Foster the City. As Lindsay said, yes, we want to raise up foster families, but not everybody is called to that. And we have different roles in Foster the City, this group of support friends that come around and support. We have a need for an advocate, somebody to be the point person here at The Rock, saying, hey, we need to get some information out, or we need to do some recruiting. And what I would like for you to do today is, on your way out, I would like for you to go to that Foster the City table and fill out a next step card, letting us know that you want some more information and signing up to come back for that information meeting on Wednesday, May 24th. Even if you're not ready to commit today to supporting a foster family or becoming a foster family, come to that interest meeting and find out what it would look like to say yes to this ministry. Here's one of the cool things about what we will be doing on that Wednesday evening. Right now, this morning, across town, there are 2 other churches, Faith Lutheran and Good Shepherd. And they've been saying some similar things that we've been saying today. And they are inviting their congregations to come to this interest meeting that we're having on our campus to find out more about how they can become partners as well. Let's partner with them and the many other churches in our community to take care of these most vulnerable children.
Yep. So we're about to end the service today. And I wouldn't feel right leaving without bringing this back to the women in the room, the mamas and the caregivers, the teachers, the mentors, the friends. I see you. And I want you to leave with a little bit of encouragement. So Danielle and some of the office staff have put together a really cute flower seed packet that you can take home and plant wherever you want. The cards will be out front by the rocks, mountains, whatever those are. And so we want to make sure you get one of those today. And, this past week as I was finalizing and thinking about what all I was going to say today, I found a really simple, beautiful way that really spoke to me as a mom and as a foster mom, a way that we, and it really ties into our core value here of collectively growing. Mm-hmm. So I think this may help us be intentional about lifting each other up and supporting one another in our community and along our different journeys. So let me just read this really quick. It's called the Mum Ribbon Movement, or we can call it the Mom Ribbon Movement. After a particularly trying evening with her children, psychotherapist and mom of 3, Anna Mather, was inspired to start a movement that would bring other parents and grandparents and caregivers together to help one another. Mather posted to her Instagram with an idea to grab a ribbon, got mine here, and tie it to your bag. And she wrote, "Wouldn't it be amazing if there was some sort of sign that we wouldn't bite someone's head off if they wanted to offer us help, but also that we were available to help someone else too." And from there, her idea took off, and moms are sharing stories of help and encouragement just from having a simple ribbon tied to their bag or noticing someone else has one. We here thought that was a really cool story of intentional community, even amongst people that didn't really know each other, and thought it'd be a great thing to bring here to the Rock. So women, you can grab a ribbon at the welcome desk or outside again and tie it to your diaper bag or your fanny pack or your purse or whatever you carry. And if we have some extra, men, you're welcome to have them too. But in doing so, your ribbon says, "You can ask me for a spare diaper, a hug, or a chat if you feel lonely." It says, "I'm here if you need a not so random act of kindness." It says, "I'm open to you offering me help if I'm having a tough time." And it says, "I welcome your words of solidarity if you see me deep breathing in the grocery store." So feel free to grab an extra one for a friend or family member. This is for us, for our congregation, our church, and our community. And I know that we are all in this together. So let's keep that going.
That's right. Would you all stand with me? We're going to finish our time here right now. And when we dedicated our son Milo about a month ago here on stage, we were given this prayer book. Actually, each of the families was given this. And one of the things I love about it is that there are different prayers for different situations, different people. And today, I just want to end here by praying a prayer for Mother's Day that's in here. So, Motherly Father and Fatherly Mother, God of heaven and earth, we feel it in our bodies and souls. We know this to be true. Mothers are essential. Soft and strong, with open arms and hearts, we thank you for the array of women who are nurturing our world in all their varied ways, cultivating peace through their mothering spirits. We thank you for the women who raised us, for the women who taught us how to love boldly and stand courageously. We thank you for the women who showed us how to care for others and how to care for ourselves too. God of heaven and earth, we thank you for the mothers, the ones up late into the night, the ones showing up and doing their best. We thank you for their persistence, has cared for us all. God of heaven and earth, we feel it in our bodies and souls. We know this to be true. Mothers are essential. Amen.
There's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am.
Not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am.
I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Ooh,
keep it going for the worship team. Come on. And also another round of applause for Grant and Lindsay. Wasn't that great today? Well, if their talk sparked something in you, we do have the Foster the City table out in the lobby. Also, don't forget to grab your seed packets as a little Mother's Day gift. And thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next week.